Let's get the thoughts of junior doctor Bhasha Mukherjee, who joins us in the studio. Good to see you. Is this something that you're worried about, the dwindling support from the public? Because we could be seeing, this is the warning, total number of appointments cancelled now due to your action partly, 1 million appointments. That's a huge number. Does that keep you awake at night?
So I want to say that the public don't have all the information. Actually, they should be supporting the strike because the strike will equal to more retention of doctors, which means they'll actually be seeing better healthcare. They'll be waiting less. They'll be seeing their GP earlier. And overall, the healthcare system, we're trying to make it better for the patients as well. Right now, for me and my colleagues, we're working double the amount of work that we would have had to do 10 years ago. And that's because we're losing 10,000 doctors a year. So we're having to fill in for their role. So we're doing two people's work in one go. So it's only fair that we get compensated for the work.
Bhasha, you say that the public don't have all the information, but it seems like they're receiving quite a lot of misinformation from the BMA. I must say, there have been placards that have highlighted what they say is a fact, that junior doctors are on £14 an hour, the equivalent of someone working for Pret. But the average junior doctor is certainly not on that amount. That is a first year of training that they may earn that much, and that's if they don't do any overtime or do any holiday work, and it's more likely to be between £20 and £30 an hour. Do you think the BMA loses a bit of trust there with the public?
And even if we were to talk about the junior-most staff, you've got to understand that we don't get any sort of, a little leeway into the job. You get thrust straight into the job, doing some of the most difficult things, including seeing death, doing CPR on patients. Is very strenuous. And as I say, the things are getting worse in terms of how much is expected of doctors compared to what it was 10 years ago. And that's because of losing doctors. And if you are talking about numbers, last time I said on the show that I'm not a numbers person.
You did.
This time I'm actually not going to make that mistake because I have got numbers, actually. If you're saying that doctors are important and doctors are saving lives, OK, well, let's see who's getting in the way of doctors getting paid, how much we're getting paid, in terms of where the budget is being spent. We spent £100 million this year on the coronation. And so, the King Charles is getting another pay rise in 2025, and he doesn't even pay tax.
That's a bit whataboutery, isn't it? Because it's also a headline today that these strikes have cost the NHS, or cost us, £1 billion already. That could have gone towards more treatment, more diagnoses, more doctors even. So aren't you sabotaging the NHS at this point?
Well, isn't that a good reason to actually stop this negotiations and actually give us what we're asking for?
But it is always sounds, when you hear this 35% figure, I appreciate about the decline in pay over the last few years, but it still sounds huge and so unrealistic. Why is it that junior doctors in Scotland can come to an agreement of 12.4%? Could you not agree to something like that if the government got round the table with you?
We haven't been offered that much
Would
yet.
you, if you were offered 12.4%, around that figure?
I don't think it's fair because it's pay restoration, it's not a pay rise. So we're making up a 26% loss over the last 9 years, and that's to make, the difference up.
But 12.4% would still be a decent rise compared to what you're on now. Why have junior doctors in Scotland agreed to that? Why wouldn't you agree to what is, not far off a halfway point?
Well, I think it's not just a case of why wouldn't I agree. It's the case of feeling valued for my work and not just about, I want my pay rise. It's about making it worthwhile for me to carry on working in a situation in an NHS which is constantly underfunded. As I mentioned, we're having to do the work of 2-3 doctors because of the loss of doctors. So we're having to put in double the amount of work.
Bhasha, a representative from the BMA said today that if they accepted a deal from Scotland, but they wouldn't accept one from the government in Westminster, it is starting to look like the BMA is politically motivated, i.e. they wouldn't accept an offer from the Tory government, but they would from the Scottish government.
I can't speak for what the BMA are doing. I'm just trying to speak for myself and what some of my colleagues have, what the reason for 98% of junior doctors in this country voted to get involved in this strike motion. And that says a lot about the number of people who are unhappy with working. Would you be happy to lose 98% of your workforce in the NHS?
Well, no, 98%.
Yes.
98% of the workforce.
Well, junior doctors.
Well, that's not true. That's not true.
98% of junior doctors did vote.
Oh, voted? I thought you said they would be leaving. I thought you said 98% of doctors had left.
About, isn't it? That they would be willing to leave if we weren't having our, you know, what we're asking for met. And essentially 10,000 doctors are leaving every year already.
Does it play on your conscience at night when you think of all the patients that are missing appointments, missing treatments? Does that not keep you awake at night? I know you've got this goal of this 35%, but in the short term, you know, we're talking 1 million people affected or 1 million appointments.
Well, I, for one, have been taking off shifts on my days off to make up for the time lost at work. So I'm actually working on the days I'm off anyway, and that's true for a lot of other doctors. So on the days we're actually supposed to be off and resting, we've basically just replaced it to be able to afford to strike, but equally that's our time off, which we're...
Bhasha, I think the key thing for a lot of people is that when you start a career, you are usually on lower pay. And then you make your way up the career ladder and you end up earning huge amounts as a consultant and taking work elsewhere. So I think you need to be careful to keep the public on side with your demands, but we shall see.
Thank you very much for coming in. And, you know, do understand how hard you work. There is no question about that. Thank you.